Approval of the agenda.
Okay.
Do we vote on approval of that?
It's,
Yeah. And do we have
I
a
had
full
moved it
quorum?
its own thing.
Yeah.
We only have 5, so 3 is actually a quorum.
Okay. So, I'll go ahead and, make a motion that, we approve the agenda.
Okay. Second? Okay. The agenda is approved.
We need to take a vote quick.
Oh,
They're
Aye.
all in favor?
okay,
Aye.
all in favor?
Yes.
Approval of previous month's minutes.
Only one small correction, that's with regard to the dressing for the Founder's Day presentation for the EO. Maureen said that she was thinking of doing that. I did not, that's not something I'm planning on doing, so I don't want there to be any misunderstanding that I will not be there presenting in anything other than, business casual, nice, but I'm not gonna be dressed, period. So I just wanted to clarify that. Don't need.
Just as long as you show up in clothing.
I'm going to show up, I will be clothed, I will be
Okay.
prepared, I'll have a presentation, and we will have a nice presentation, but I will not be dressed to the.
In costume?
No, I won't be doing that, that's not my plan.
Any other changes? Oh, go ahead.
Well, Karen and I, we're still working on the program, so we're gonna do something that's fluid and professional in any way. So I had thought about it because, I even have glasses and stuff, and I was gonna discuss it with her and see what I'm
If
kind of
you wanna dress up, you would be beautiful, and
Well,
it would be great, and so
well,
I would
that-
encourage that,
that's-
but I'm not going to be dressing up.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. So we're still
For
working.
corrections of minute, did I just remove that line then? Both are hoping to be costumed for the presentation. Shall I just remove that line for the minutes corrections?
I think so.
I think so because we're still working it out. We have not finalized our presentation yet, and I'm one of those people that until it's completely bugs run through, I'm not gonna say this is the finalized thing until we're ready to go.
What are you?
Yes, and,
5D.
Yeah, PEO Founder's Day.
5D. Okay.
The
So
second
we're
line.
just gonna,
I
just remove that second sentence, like.
I just mentioned that it might be fun. Type of thing, but we'll see how this all goes. But the bottom line is, with those corrections, Karen, is there any other issues with them?
No one else has any corrections?
Okay, so I'll make a motion and say with the corrections put in place, can we approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Anyone seconded? Okay. What's the
All in favor?
terminology? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Show me the line.
The minutes are approved.
I
No
know it's right there,
public.
but it
I
doesn't.
don't want to interrupt, but.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, at some point we have to do, and I didn't put this on the agenda, but we'll need to approve the meeting day and time and location, and where the meetings are posted for moving forward for the year. So I don't know if we want to do that now or do that later during
Okay.
summer questions.
We could do that, Brittany, because it's not on here, we can do that with items from staff.
Okay.
Or items from the board, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
that comes from staff though.
Right.
Okay.
No public members are here today. Item number 5, discuss items from Tackett updates.
Yeah, I think the packet is, so we've got the manager's report, and then the rest of it all pertains to the annual report, which is in the agenda. So we can go through the manager's report now, or unless that should be items from staff.
I think that's, technically that's items from staff, so maybe let's go through that at that point. And I think the objective.
Sounds good.
I think the objective in this line item of the agenda is just to kind of take a peek at things and see if there was anything that needed to be briefed about or something before we get into the meat of it later.
So no initial comments about
I think-
the packet?
Yeah.
Okay. So going to old business, donations and contributions.
Yeah, so those are finalized, yay.
Wow, that's
And
wonderful.
they're actually, we didn't have them done, when Karen and Ann and I were finalizing the annual report, so I did tweak that a little bit, Karen, to say that they were done and included. And they're included in the annual report, so that's where those are, and really there were barely any changes with legal, there are a couple little minor wording things. But otherwise no changes, and those are complete and ready to be utilized, so that's great.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited about this, and now we can remove that from old business. Yay!
Yeah,
And I'm really pleased that we can add that into the final report for the year, that we've got that accomplished.
Yes.
That's huge.
yes. It's a big one. Okay, digitized scrapbook.
So,
Yeah, I have an appointment on Friday, I guess we'll see, with the museum, to start scanning, and the thought was that we would see, if anybody was available to come by, but if not, I could learn the process, and then that way I can, kind of teach that to you all who are eventually gonna be doing the main chunk of the scanning, I guess.
Brittany, what time is that on Friday?
Let me double check. I think it's at 1:30. Yeah, 1:30 at the museum, and she blocked out, she being Elizabeth, who is the new director of history there, blocked out an hour and a half of time, and we were just gonna take the first scrapbook and just kind of see how it went, see what we
So
learn from that
I
first process.
apologize, Karen just walked in. What time was that again?
1:30 on Friday.
1:30. I can try to get there, we will see how that goes. What is everybody?
I would like to be helping with the digitized scrapbook, but I can't make it Friday to go look at it. at what
Well,
to
and the
do,
thought was
so.
that everybody is welcome to help with that. We would love everyone's help with that, but and I know that Friday is kind of short notice at this point, we figured we'd get something on the books, and that way I can kind of learn the process and maybe work some kinks out, and then, and whoever can be there is wonderful. But if not, that's okay, and then they'll certainly much more scanning that needs to happen that everybody can be involved in, so if that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, I can put it on my calendar, but I also think it depends on how well you're feeling. If you're better by
Yeah.
Friday, you get the magic wand of
And
chicken
it's,
soup.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like just a cold or whatever, but I just didn't want to be getting anybody sick, so.
I appreciate that so much.
At this point, it seems like that should work out, but I guess we'll play it by ear. So I can send out maybe like a confirmation email tomorrow or something, and just let
That would be
people know if
wonderful.
that's happening for sure. That would be
That would be
Okay.
wonderful, thank you,
Yeah.
Brittany.
okay, but yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, basically it's just bring the scrapbook over and meet with them and start scanning and see how it all goes, kind of figure it out, so.
Okay, great. C, the PEO Founder's Day program.
So generally, here's kind of a 60-second rundown of the content, and then I'll tell you which photos are going to be included. And then you can give me any kind of feedback you'd like to, if there's anything else that you want included. So basically starting with when the house was built, by whom and for whom, going through the Sweeney's family, the wife, 2 daughters, also discussing briefly about the fireplace incident, why it caused the removal of the fireplace. The trade for the house, I do have the deed that transfers interest from Rose Sweeney to Thomas Callahan. So I'll discuss that a little bit, and then thereafter the Callahan's improvements, everything from very early on and all the way through their time and through the significant addition to the house. Then going through the life of the Callahans, just how they were active participants in the community, Alice's club membership, and particularly her membership in PEO. Then I'll go on to the fact that the Callahans gifted the house to the city. I have the deed there as well to share with everyone. Then discussing how organization and management of the house began from there with the board of directors, hiring a house manager, and then the functions of the house at that point. The initial clubs that were using the house, and then the continued preservation acts throughout time, and then the local historic landmark designation by the city of Longmont, and then the National Historic Register. The property is registered locally and nationally. And then just discussing briefly about the board members over the years, having been 91 over the years, and then the continued restoration and preservation of the house and garden, the current use of the house, including, specific clubs and PEO, a chapter of PEO is still meeting here. So then discussing briefly about the vacancy on the board, and if there were any interested ladies, then we would be happy to provide them with Brittany's contact information to contact her for applying through the city. So that's basically the presentation in a nutshell. The photos I plan to include in that are the picture of the house of the Sweeney's family outside. It's black and white with them sitting in the chairs with their 2 daughters. And then also the picture of them sitting near the fireplace that was there. I'm going to include the deed transferring the house from the Sweeney's to Callahan's. That was Rose to Thomas. I'm going to include the pictures of Callahan's at the house, including the garden, the fountain, the driveway, the cars, the ladies' clubs, the waffle breakfast. We do have pictures of Alice and a couple of her ladies' clubs just meeting and out by the fountain. And then, of course, we have the waffle breakfast black and white photo to share. It's pretty famous. And then I do have the photo of the deed transferring the house from Callahan to the city, and the transfer that happened there was really quite interesting because Alice owned the southernmost property, Tom owned this property and the 30 feet to the north, and for them to clean up the title, they had to deed it to Raymond, their son, first on one day, and the very next day he had to deed it back to both of them. So it was really quite interesting transaction that had to happen to clean up the title and then transfer to the city. So that'll be some interesting history for everyone to learn. And then of course I have the newspaper article and the ordinance where the city of Longmont designated the Callahan House as a landmark. And it was one of the first 2 that were designated as existence was the other. So I have that as well. And then, of course, the National Historic Register, and then some current photos of the house showing our most recent restoration. So those are photos that I included.
And as always, Karen is very detail oriented and she's got all that. But I had kind of toyed with the idea of putting a little snippet of being a fly on the wall. Or wouldn't it be interesting to look at the conversation of what took place between Alice and Thomas about donating the house?
Oh, yes.
And I thought that would be kind of a nice little thing, because I don't know about you ladies, but I know that when I have discussions with my husband, I have some set opinions on things, and he doesn't necessarily agree with me, but I think that Alice was instrumental in looking at if she was going to be that this was a joint decision. It wasn't just Thomas. I think she was very influential in the sense of she had her clubs and her ladies here, and I don't think she wanted to, now again, this is all conjecture, because we don't have historic accuracy on everything, but this is where I'm gonna pull into Karen for more information about, would it be interesting to have that conversation of what she was saying, to say, I think we should do this because I'm not gonna leave unless we donate this to the clubs,
Well,
because I'm not
that will be
deserting my
tied in.
friends.
It will be tied in, I think you're on the right page. Here's specifically what happened. There is language that's captured and was provided through Mary Shy. That was instruction by Tom and Alice that, you know, the men had all of their clubhouses, the children had their playgrounds, but the women have nothing.
Deserve their
So
place.
that will be included in this.
And
And
didn't
the
that
beautiful
happen
thing-
during a gathering that,
When they were
It was brought
offering, it's a question of exactly if it was part of the city council meeting or not, I don't know. But what was part of the city council meeting, and it is the third page of the recorded deed that is a transfer from the Callahans to,
And
I
this
have it here, but I'll share it with you all
The-
electronically. But the third page includes that minutes, that's 2-paragraph minutes from May 27th of 1938 saying after, let's see, Mr. Lanyon, and that's the mayor at the time, announced that Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Callahan had made the generous offer of deeding their home and grounds at 3rd Avenue and Terry Street to the city of Loma to be used as a women's club, building, and civic home. It's in the deed. So,
Yeah.
so specifically, the city council's minutes, and then they said after considerable discussion, they moved and seconded and accepted, and so that's all
see,
included.
I
But that language about yes, the men had that, the children had that, the women have nothing, that's going to be included, and that's part of the
this is where
part of the initial board of directors, because
Yes.
that's where that came from.
Yes, and this is where I was thinking that maybe we could take the ideas, because we talked about bringing the, I'm not gonna remember but the historic women that come in and speak and whatever else, and I thought, I surely could do some research and come up with a little snippet of my own of what it would have been like, in parentheses, of what we can imagine it would have been like, of what Alice said to her husband, and kind of, so I was toying with this, and I've got to work it out yet, and we'll see how it works, because Karen, I know you're such a perfectionist that I don't know.
I'm a historian, and so I like to really stay to what's factual and what can be proved. But I do think that a little bit of
I
interest
also
is
think it would
always
be
kind of a-
interesting, because they did ask us to come in, and I also want it to be entertaining. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
keep all those ideas. So we're still, our presentation is not completely finalized, but these are just some ideas. I also want to put it out to the board, if that's okay, because I'm not gonna do anything that would put our board in jeopardy in any way, shape, or form. And what your opinion of things are. If we just go with facts and that's where you're at, that's great, we can do it that way. But this was just a idea I thought of. And Karen and I really did not have a chance over the holidays to get together and discuss it. So,
Question,
yes.
how long a period of time do they give you to do this presentation?
30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay, keep that in mind.
Mhm.
As members that will be there.
Yeah.
It kind
Yes.
of makes for a long morning,
Yes.
so I think being punctual and sticking to that
Right.
is important.
Yes.
I'm not talking about a 20-minute presentation, I'm talking.
I think walking away with that question in your mind, what was that conversation like? It is very
Yeah, just
valid,
having
because
them-
haven't we all
Yeah.
wondered, I wonder how did she talk him into that?
Yeah,
Wouldn't you always
I
want to
mean,
be, I
most-
personally have always thought about, wouldn't it be interesting to be on the fly on the wall and
Mhm,
historically
yes.
to listen to that conversation?
Yeah.
And I just thought it would be kind of nice to kind of start off with that, to put the question out there,
Mhm.
and then go into, this is what we know is factual.
Just one other little bit of color that I think is so interesting is the fact that, what's her name? Alice, drove her own car and went all around town at a time when women were normally accompanied. And just pointing out that she was very independent and progressive.
That's exactly.
And then say,
But
you
she
know,
was still known as her husband. I mean,
Of course.
yeah, but I mean, so
Historically, that's
imagine a very spirited and progressive woman of the time having a conversation with her husband. I'm just saying that picture of her with the car is kind of a neat bit of color and
That's included.
could sort of help build, it is,
It is.
okay,
Yes.
help build up to,
but I was
Yeah.
thinking literally just a snapshot of the conversation in 1938, and I can do 1938. I have got the hats and I've got everything to do that. I can do.
Suggesting something might be, but making clear that we don't have
Oh,
confirmation.
it's
or-
conjecture.
It's all
Yeah.
conjecture.
That's, yeah.
oh, so
I
you
just
would
be
actually
really
like
careful
to
because
pose in a
people-
picture, oh, that would be neat.
I thought I've got the hat, I've got the glasses, she's glasses, I've got everything, and I really kind of toyed with this, and I thought it would all be conjecture to just think what that conversation
Just
would be.
imagine what that might have been like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it adds a lot of color.
That's it, and we're talking 5 minutes.
Maybe 5 minutes, 4 or 5
5
minutes.
tops.
Just yeah.
Just
a
to start off
snippet.
the conversation, and then
Yes.
to say, now we're gonna go into what we know is fact and historically accurate, and this is what we have.
Will there be questions?
Yes,
yes,
there's
we're
time for
opening it up
question
to
and
questions.
answer at the end is what he said.
So just a thought process. Anyway, so I'd like to know what you ladies thought, and we'll go from there. But that, so if you think that's okay,
I think that'd be
I
nice,
think it adds a little humor, a little color,
yeah.
some personality to it.
all right. So
Which PEO, do you know which PEO she belonged to?
Chapter M.
Okay.
The oldest one, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
It started in
existence at the
1907.
time.
Anything else on Founder's Day? Okay, moving on to the 12/13 and 12/20 open houses, the news releases.
Yeah, I just wanted to share numbers from those like we would with regular open houses. And those were just the, those couple 2-hour ones that we added in December after the news release for the grant project went out to give people more opportunity to come and see the house. So on the 13th, we had 40 visitors from 4 to 5. Nobody else came in from 5 to 6 o'clock. And we had $97 in donations and 6 email signups. On the 20th, we had 34 people from 4 to 5, 11 people from 5 to 6 o'clock for a total of 45 visitors, $101 in donations, and 7 email signups. So
And what,
I think for a
Brittany,
last minute little thing, getting an extra kind of people in the house and a couple $100 in donations and 2 email signups was good. So
Brittany, would you repeat?
it had been posted in the date. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Brittany, would you repeat what you said after the donations? $97 on the first day, and then what did you say following that?
6 email signups.
6 email signups.
6, okay. And then on the second date, how many?
45 total. Oh, you mean email
Um,
signups?
Email signups.
45 total visit.
Email signups.
Well, emails. 7.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Am I coming through clearly?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, you
I'm
are.
just not listening clearly.
Okay.
Oh, that's not
No,
it.
that-
I
that's
have
your
it.
client. I'm on the other end of that router, so just making sure. Yeah, so I think that was good, and it was picked up in the Longmont Leader, the Times Call It, the Daily Camera, all ran that. So yeah, just a little tidbit there. I think that was
Did
just
we get
extra
clippings from the
way to
other
get people in that.
papers? Did we get clippings from the Times Call and the
My neighbor had thrown hers out already.
I have the times.
Karen, you've got one call, right?
That was the original, story that came out earlier, so.
We've got the one that Connie brought by, that was not the updated one, but it was just the advertisement for the open house, and then, one from the Times call. That's the one you have, Karen, right? Karen Grace, the full one from the Times call, okay, so.
I have an additional one
Yeah.
of that to give you. But we didn't get anything from the camera or from, the
Peter.
leader.
Not
No.
leader. Well, not leader is online.
No,
Okay.
So that could be accessed.
Well, I think that's great for the two that we added. I wish we had more than 45 people, but that's basically 85 more people that we've not had in the house before, and $200 or so, a little less, of donations. But that's a good thing. Good thing.
Yep.
Anything else on that?
not for
Okay,
me.
moving on to the updated video.
I don't have any updates on that, other than I hope to have something for you to review before that goes out. I'm hoping for February, so that's
Okay.
the plan.
Okay. Club affair,
I've been thinking about it. I would assume that we should be meeting pretty soon. So I attempted to make my brain come up with a date, but it didn't happen. But I'm open to suggestions. I would say we start meeting next month sometime. It wouldn't hurt a bit. The basic place to start would be, and we had talked about outside meetings, outside of these meetings.
Correct.
So the basic place to start would be our goals, what we're attempting to do with this project. And secondly then, a refresher of the list of the groups that are in this community, and thinking of the newer, younger people that are forming groups in the community. My daughter belongs to a group that just kind of happened with a bunch of friends who are all in different types of businesses. They meet once a month and it's social, but they're all still kind of promoting their businesses. Well, they meet in each other's homes, or they go to a restaurant or whatever, but there's a possibility of we have once a year, maybe a gathering here, or maybe every month, who knows. Mahjong was mentioned numerous times in the open houses, because they saw the card tables and people playing bridge and Mahjong. I want to play Mahjong. It's very popular.
yeah.
So that's another thought, that there's groups like that in town, or that would like to form groups like that. So that would be a good starting place, is to come with our brainstorming ideas about people we know of that are in groups that might benefit by using the house.
And how to reach, like you're saying, the younger generation. It's not just me, but my daughters that are in their 20s and 30s, and how to get them.
I wonder if going online to meetup.com would uncover some local, young people's kind of groups.
Well, I think if we can start and just get a date on the calendar when to meet, then by the time we meet, I'm gonna brainstorm and tap my nieces and my daughters and figure out exactly what they do. And how do they meet up with their friends, and what exactly are they promoting, and what are they doing? And I have a gamut of different personalities that I can ask
That's
and
good.
come up with ideas that way, at least.
So we should probably start with your schedule.
Right, yeah. So our next meeting is February 14th. So, either sometime that week, and it could be maybe after this meeting, or Thursday the 15th, maybe. Or I'm looking at my chemo schedule here.
Yeah.
And I don't have it set in stone yet, that's why I'm
Yeah.
kind of hesitating right here.
Well, we could put it in place and then we could always shift if we need to.
Right.
But the best week for me actually looks like it would be the 12th through the 16th, or 26th, that last week.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the 12th and 16th is looking better for me, but
What would be?
that week of the 12th through the 16th, that would be a better week for me.
I was in on my calendar, calendar knows.
I'm open on the 15th or the 16th, so whichever day is better.
I'm good with everything except the 16th.
Except what?
Everything except the 16th.
So maybe the 15th?
15th would be great.
As long as it's after about 10:30.
It's fine by me.
That's the day I go to.
How does that work with you, Brittany? How does that work with you, Brittany, for your schedule, the 15th of February?
10:30,
She
No,
she
after,
won't come.
you're wanting to meet?
possibly if we could.
Yeah, if we can.
Can we meet on the
I think
15th?
so, there's an event. I think, yeah, what day of the week is that?
It's a Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think there's an event on the 6th, so we should be good on the 15th.
Could we meet at, Karen, would it work for your schedule if we met more like at noon or,
I just, 9:30, 10:30 I've got.
so at 11 maybe? Can we meet 11?
Sure.
So then did we work through lunch, or do we wait until after lunch to meet, or what works best there?
Bring your sack lunch.
Do you wanna bring a sack lunch and walk through it? I don't.
Works for me.
2-hour meeting?
Okay.
11 to 1?
11 to 1, okay.
All right, Thursday, February 15th, here at the house, 11 to 1.
And Brittany, will you send out a notice with that, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we can all write it down, but.
Sorry, I'm still putting my calendar on.
Yeah, and don't apologize, I'm doing the same.
And then I have to put about 3 different reminders, 3 hours, 1 hour, 1 day before.
Oh, woman after my own heart, I love it.
We need to set a date for inventory too, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's coming.
Okay, moving on to the annual report.
So what you have in the packet is the most current annual report with the all of the information that we have available to us, with the exception of the yellow highlighting those numbers in the Callahan House Fund. Those are yet to be finalized. But they will be before the report is ready to be submitted to City Council, of course. I think the correct me if I'm wrong, Brittany, but the items that are highlighted in blue were somewhat questionable at the time, and we just needed to either wait or then check in with the board about them. And I think the first one was,
Yeah.
the document has been reviewed and accepted by city's legal department, see attached document. So that's why that is highlighted, is because that is now approved. Before it was
Waiting.
with the legal department being reviewed. So now that is.
That was the thing that I
Yeah.
just wanted to notate, yeah. And then the second two highlights are things that we wanted to review, and the fourth highlight was also something that I added that I think we talked about, but I wanted to double check.
Okay. So the second blue highlighted item is the word ladies. And the only reason that is highlighted is Anne questioned whether we should have that in here. And I do believe it is necessary, and it is this board's decision. It is in the deed of the house that this is meant
I
for
think
women's clubs. So I think for historic nature, it's necessary to keep that listed there.
Personally, because of the deeds and because of the original intention of the house, I think it's important that we look at it.
So that was the only reason why that was.
I have no problem with it. I
If
noticed
the
it too.
So,
Just to think about moving forward that, we're obviously not limiting clubs to being ladies only, and at some point, it might not make sense for it to say ladies clubs any longer. Right now, that is still the case, but also just kind of something to think about moving forward, that it may not be ladies only any longer, but at this point it is, so.
Well, when you
as
have
said,
the-
that's what
when we discuss the club affair, should we be prepared to look more broadly and?
Like there's a photography club that
we, to make,
participated all the time, and it was men. The Rotary clubs,
Yeah.
the
it needs,
Kiwanis.
right,
right, but for the sake of keeping true to the deed, having that on there is not harmful.
No.
And so. Okay, then the next, on the page 3, under maintenance, the new stove purchased for the kitchen in 2022 still needs to be installed. The delay is due to the size of the stove being greater than the opening of the historic home's doorway. Moving company has been consulted to determine how to disassemble the stove and reassemble it in the kitchen for proper installation without damaging the historic home. The reason that's highlighted is because while that's language I included and wrote in there to clarify why this is outstanding, it's not a fault of anyone or anything other than the fact that modern day appliances may not fit in historic homes, and so the process is a little tedious but necessary to maintain the integrity of the historic structure. So, are you okay with this language, or would you rather it not be there?
I'm perfectly fine with the
well, and
language.
I'm surprised but the stove is actually, there's an update on that now, the stove is in, it's
Is
done.
it?
It's
Yay.
Oh my
Go Trip, go
goodness.
Surprise.
But,
Yay, we're
Wow.
doing a big walk in the
Take that
kitchen.
language
Yay for
out.
you.
So
So-
we can now
So that's
We can
state that,
strike it.
we can now state that the new stove, it has been installed.
yes.
Okay, yay, that's
It
great.
was installed in 20.
I think so. It didn't happen in the
23.
last week,
Yeah.
right? It was in 2023 they came and did that.
That's
I can't
cool.
report what's happened yet this.
Yes, it was, I think it was like the 29th,
Yeah.
28th or the
Oh,
29th.
timing.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
It's done before we
So-
submit this report to city council. That's good. I just wanted to make it clear that it was
Yeah.
nobody's fault of why it was still kind of hanging out there and lingering out there. It was a matter of,
Yeah.
that's
Structure.
a historic home and a modern day appliance.
Yeah.
So, but now.
So the new language for that, we wanna just say like the stove that had been in out-of-house storage is now installed, and talk about plans for the out-of-house, or what should that say now, given the fact that it's complete?
I think so. Because we're moving forward, aren't we?
That's true.
Brittany, could you say that one more time? I'm not sure I understood what you asked.
Just something along the lines of like the stove that was being, because I think it mentioned it in the previous report. So this year it would say like the stove that was being stored is now installed in the home, and plans for that space in the auto house are underway or something along those lines.
I would leave out plans because this is about 2023.
Mhm.
And it's under maintenance. So plans, I think, would be like.
Okay.
2024.
2024,
Goals, yeah.
yeah,
Our goals, but
but it also doesn't have to go in there.
No.
Yeah, it's-
I also don't think it's a bad thing to say that we struggled getting it in because of the historic nature of it. It's always good to share what happened and why it took us longer than we had hoped to get it in. But now it's in and we're celebrating that.
Yeah.
So I think we just say the new stove is installed. The delay was due to the stove being greater than, but it's now been accomplished. I don't see that. We just changed the wording that it still needs to, but it was accomplished. And we can even say the date on the 29th that this was accomplished on this date. And this is why there was a delay. And that's it. And then we move forward.
I think that's fine.
That works.
That
Everything in there.
Shall I edit that?
was a good idea.
Who should edit?
You were nominated.
Well, I think, why don't you go ahead and
Okay.
do those?
Accept the nomination. Yeah.
I didn't realize I stepped forward and everybody else stepped behind me. I was on the computer screen. I couldn't see that.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, that's fine. Okay,
And
cool.
then the last blue highlighted item is on the goals. And Brittany, you're saying that this is something you added in and would want the board to determine if that's something that we want included?
Yeah, and I guess along those lines also, if we want to talk about plans for the auto house or not.
I think we do. Because that moves, if we state that we have plans for the auto house and that we're moving forward, I think that's a good thing under our goals. And that's something that we had hoped to work on.
I
So,
don't know that did we talk about plans for the auto house or I was gonna say, I don't remember that. So I think at this point.
I actually have updates about that for items from staff, so I don't know if we want to include that in the report then or not, but.
So, well,
Well,
since
something we
obviously
didn't-
the
I would-
report's not gonna be absolutely complete until we have those final numbers from the Callahan House Funds, I think getting to this point is good enough for now, because I imagine next month we'll be looking at this hopefully one last time. Maybe we'll have those Callahan House Fund numbers for 2023 at that time, and then we can do a final review of anything else that needed to be added. Does that sound right?
Okay, so we will get this again one more time.
I think we have to because we don't have
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah.
We don't have the final numbers of the Callahan House Fund, so, yeah.
basically, we're putting you on the spotlight when the staff report comes up. I can't read it here.
Although I
That's
do think
fine.
that, acquire a tunable period appropriate piano for the Callahan House's music room is okay. As
Something to
to
look at
include
several
as a
times.
future.
I wonder if we can combine that. We've already got a goal, 1, 2, 3 up, that says replace the first floor piano with the
Oh,
period
yeah, that's that.
appropriate
right.
piano.
Yeah.
So just combine them.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
Right.
That is that.
Yeah. I guess I missed that.
I was gonna say, I could have sworn I put that in there, but I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, that is that.
It's already there.
It's there. We'll just come.
So, okay, we're good.
Okay.
All right. But we will be
Let's
looking at
keep
this
the auto
again.
house out of it for now.
Yeah, we're not
So
talking
for-
about auto house right now. We don't
The
have
second?
information to
Okay.
talk about yet.
So for now, are there any other things we need to say about the annual report as it stands? Or can we move forward?
It's a work in progress still. We're
Leave
waiting.
it
Okay.
on the-
It will be on next
Old
month's,
business.
old
Okay.
business agenda.
Moving on to house inventory and setting the date.
I think, I don't know if anything else in the rest of the report needed to be looked at or not, but there's other attached documents, but, I mean, I
Oh,
think
for
we're
the-
good to go.
for the annual
Any
report?
questions?
I didn't
Yeah.
have any questions. I looked at all of it, Brittany, and it looked good to me. I personally think we're just waiting on the numbers.
Right. I agree.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So, house inventory.
So it
Yeah,
looks
we
like
just
we need to set a date.
set a date. Yeah, and everyone's available to help with that. And I didn't include the inventory from last year in the report because it would have been like 50 pages long. But I did send a digital copy to everyone just so that you have it for your records. But I thought printing that was, a lot.
It would have killed a lot of trees, and I appreciate it. I looked at it, the digital copy. Did anybody else get a chance to look at it?
I looked through it.
Yeah.
So what date do we want to set to gather together here?
Brittany, do you have some suggestions for us?
I wanted to, when was the last time the board did inventory? A couple of years ago? Is it, I assume it's kind of an all day,
Yes.
or a several hour situation based off from last year.
I think we just pick a day and go through it and see how it goes.
I've never done it, so
Okay.
it's been at least 5 years.
Is it something you wanna do in January or February? You know, like what's the timeline that you guys want?
I think it really depends on Brittany's schedule.
I think so too. That's
Yeah.
why I asked if she
Depending on
has some
Brittany's schedule.
dates to suggest for us. And we don't have to do it all in one
Well-
day necessarily.
Right, we could break it up.
Yeah, and in terms of timeline, I think just, as we can get it done is great. I don't think it's really for us, it's not like getting reported anywhere else, so there's not really like a date that it needs to be done by. Wednesdays, clubs are usually in the house, and I imagine we don't necessarily want to do it after the next meeting just because you're already here for a couple of hours, and then that would be a good chunk of time. So is there another weekday that generally works for people? I'm pretty like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays are
I guess
pretty open.
Wednesdays and Thursdays are best for me, but I'm flexible.
Wednesdays and Thursdays are not good for me on the most part. At least that second week in the month, I can't do those dates. I open up after that. It's the second
If
week.
everybody doesn't have it for consent, then people could come to whichever one they could come to.
That's true.
Maybe.
So truthfully, correction, I just can't do this, I can't do the second Thursday of the month. It's just, I can't do it. And then again, we have the Callahan House on that second Wednesdays too, so,
I don't think we're pinpointing just the second Thursday. I think just generally, Candy, I'm thinking you said this Wednesdays and Thursdays in general.
Right, yeah, but
Are
I can
better
be
for
flexible, yeah.
So maybe can we look at another Wednesday or Thursday?
that's what I'm trying to.
Different.
Thursday mornings aren't good for me.
Okay, Thursday morning.
I think
Yeah, between 9:30 and 10:30.
Okay.
So,
Wednesdays, it would have to be the last of the month because that's the only time we don't have clubs, and I think it would be good if nothing else were going on in the house while we're doing that. So Thursdays are good.
so it's
That works.
Thursday, as long as it begins at
And I can
11.
come in when I get done with what I'm doing. It's not gonna be. I don't wanna put a pinch on things.
How soon do you want to do this, Brittany?
So, it really doesn't. I mean, it can be in February or
Well, let's look at
you
February.
said early. Karen Reed.
Say that again?
She's got, normally
Did you
she's,
say earlier in the month?
I've got a Bible study from 9:30 to 10:30 on Thursdays.
Okay,
What about the,
well, we could,
I can still come when I get done, which is not a big deal.
what about the 24th to the 31st of January?
yeah, or even February 1st,
Oh, I can't do the first.
any of that works, I think. Okay,
I'm good with 24th through 31st, anything. Oh, well, except for the 31st.
You can't do the 31st.
Yeah.
I'm not on the 24th.
Oh, I take that back. I have something on the 29th.
See
But I can
what
work
this
around.
happens? Yeah, exactly. We can do Thursdays, I'll just end up being here.
So what
late.
about the 25th? Would that work for everybody? And then you come when you can?
That
Absolutely.
works for me.
Would be a better day.
That works.
Okay, 25th it is.
January
What time?
25th, at what time?
Should we say
9.
9?
Start at 9.
9 a.m., okay.
cool, thank you.
Okay. So, moving on to the piano offer. Smith and Barnes Victorian upright circa 1900 is Jacqueline's, in Jacqueline's family. And
Yeah.
offered.
And Cindy and Maureen and I have been trying to figure out a date to go look at that, and Cindy's also been looking for other options as well, so that we potentially have a few things to compare. So I think that's where we're at with that. We were looking at potentially a date later in January to go see the one that belongs to Jacqueline's mother, and yeah, like I said, Cindy's got a couple others.
I thought we had a date
We've been
set
keeping
on
it
the,
on.
I thought we had a date set on the 22nd. Am I
Oh, is that's what I wasn't sure if that was for sure, but I do have that as a date all set up.
Yeah, I put it in my calendar. I have a book for the 22nd to go on a field trip with you.
Okay,
I didn't know time.
cool, okay.
Cindy, you're
I
right.
have
Yeah, I'm
I have
pretty
a
sure.
meeting 12 to 1:30
Yeah.
that day, so it'd have to be before that or after that.
I'm good to go. You just need to give me a time, and I guess the big thing is when Jacqueline's going to let us in the house to look at it. Big
And
camera.
it
Yeah,
would be nice to make it somewhere still in the middle of the day, not rush hour.
We either do it
We're
earlier.
going all the way to Lakewood, right?
Wow.
Yeah, well, I have a 12 to 1:30 that day, so it'd have
Oh,
to be
yeah.
either in the morning before that, in time to get back, or we leave after that.
I'm good with morning. It doesn't matter for me. I'll be flexible.
Yeah, I guess whenever. Forget the concern about rush hour, whenever we
Okay.
can.
Well, I mean, if you guys left at like 9.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be
most
fine.
things, then you
Yeah.
still should be able to
And
get
I
back.
That's my meeting, so I can make it 12:30 if you need more time in the morning, Rich. That's what the meeting.
I'll make it quick.
It'll be okay.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay.
So yeah, let me know what that
Well,
looks like.
yes,
I'll make it 12:30.
9 and, okay, thank you.
I can go as early as 8 too, so that's, or 7, I don't care.
Yeah, I can too.
We can just get it done, get it,
Yeah.
and
Take
get you
coffee
back.
with you and just,
I got my
Yeah.
cup of tea, we'll
there
travel.
you go.
9 o'clock?
9 should be fine, yeah, 9 should be good, and then that'll give us enough time. I imagine we're only gonna actually be looking at it for, a short period of time, so.
Well, I wasn't planning on spending
Let's do that,
hours
man.
there.
No.
Should we,
But you're not
I
gonna
know
make
you said you were willing to drive. Brittany, should we come to here and then you drive from here, or what would be
Yeah,
convenient
that's
for
pretty
you?
good if that
We should
works.
just meet at the Memorial Building.
Oh yeah, you could meet at the Memorial Building.
Where there's more parking.
There's a lot more.
Yeah.
Like
longer
moving
parking.
from the city first.
just down the street.
Okay, Memorial Building, 9 o'clock. For field trip. Anybody else?
Brittany,
want to-
contact Veronica about the van.
Okay, thank you.
The minivan. I don't take the minivan.
Yeah.
I'll take the bigger. Because it's, yeah.
I love the filter there. Pause. It's not great.
Tells you everything you need to know. I know the feeling, Brittany. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Sorry, it was not.
No. You're great. I honestly thank you for doing this electronically when
Yeah.
you're feeling so horrible.
Yeah.
I just feel very bad.
Oh, it's okay. It's cold, but I don't want to share.
Okay, and as of yesterday, I had not heard back from the 2 different ones that I contacted, pianos on Facebook Marketplace. So I emailed them again, or messaged them, and we'll see.
Okay.
But they keep popping up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's really no rush, with any of these. We want to wait
Yeah.
until we find the right one. So if if it turns out, even though we drive down here, if that one's not the right one, we'll just keep keeping an eye out.
I think the bottom line is,
So.
from discussion that we've had here at the board, it's more important that we have quality and a good instrument that's gonna be here for a long time. I mean, let's face it, it's a large item to
Yeah.
move in and out, and we don't want just to be,
And after we look at Jacqueline's piano, we, take notes, and we know what we saw there, and
we can
Then
make
move on.
comparisons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also need to be fair to Jacqueline, see if she's got a timeline as well, to
Right.
see if she's getting rid of it at a certain point.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we move on to new business?
Yes.
Okay. Friends of Callahan House or similar program?
So something that I brought up last night, and I think you all were gonna check into.
Yeah, so Brittany, do you want to talk about it a little bit? Or do you want me to?
Well, I think that either way, I think we basically kind of deemed that maybe an actual Friends program, the same as what they do at the museum and the senior center, isn't necessarily appropriate for Callahan House because it would require like a secondary board that is in control of funds and things like that, but
Right, and we all thought we
that's
were in
something
agreement.
similar, like a membership.
Yeah, I think our questions arose, and there's no reason we can't. For example, the museum has, a membership, which is, that sort of thing. But you get something out of that. So you invest and you get something out of that. My question is, if somebody wants to invest on an annual basis here, and I get that it's based on a donation, but yet, what do they get out of that? So I think would be the question on setting up a program like this. So if you put in $20 a year, whatever the amount you decide is, what do you get for that? You get some recognition. What else? I mean, I think that's the question on what this might look like.
So along with the recognition of, being listed on the Friends group, I could envision us having a separate Friends of the Callahan House open house day, where it is just those members
Sure.
who are invited to come and tour through the house and just have a little more personal,
Well, I mean, you certainly could do refreshments and things like that.
I was gonna say,
we
for
talked
being a
about
donor, it'd be nice to offer something. for them.
What if we had talked about, the waffle breakfast?
that's gonna be something that I think
Is
Is this
Bit of
separate
a
fundraiser?
focus,
I
right?
think that needs to be a community
Yeah.
fundraiser.
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, the idea
His
of
point
something,
being
freshments or something, I like
that
that.
they
I mean,
receive something for
Yeah.
their donation.
Yeah.
But then if we have that waffle breakfast, those people that are donating would get a ticket for it perhaps.
That's what
or
I'm saying.
reduced
Yeah.
rate or whatever, if
They
we
could have
have those
reduced
kinds
rates.
of events.
That's exactly what I was
I think
thinking,
we-
so you get a ticket or.
the ticket in general, like the Valentine's tea and things like that, that we're planning to have more events, seasonal events throughout the year, or maybe they have a discounted ticket price to those fun elective events that we're gonna be adding to the.
And we're really just getting
Just general.
scratching the surface of those things, of programming like that, so that is definitely an area where we could put in a discount for folks who are
Members.
friends of,
Friends of the
whatever the word,
Callahan's.
and
Right.
get
Friends
a
of the
little bit
Callahan
more
House.
around to that. So, yeah, I'm certainly not against it.
I like the Friends of the Callahan House. I don't know if that made it count.
I don't know
You
what that
go up there
was.
and did something.
Get what you do.
Nothing, I didn't know.
She always likes sitting next to me.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. I like the idea. I know I think there was a confusion on what we were looking at, but I personally like the idea of what we came up with, that it isn't gonna be a separate board type of thing, but this is gonna be more like a membership, but not a I like the
It's
word
not a
friends.
separate 501c3.
No.
It's about,
And the money will go into the regular donations.
Yeah.
you know?
it all just goes to the Callahan House Fund.
Non-complicated, pretty.
We make say clear of like friends, if there are other programs that the city utilizes that are friends, if this is gonna be separate from that, we may have to come up with something. So if this is a
I like
program
the
that's
word
unique
friends,
to
but it
Callahan House,
doesn't tell me something.
It does.
Yeah.
So I guess the big thing is coming up with the verbiage that would work.
Any thoughts, something other than friend, I don't know, membership personally.
I don't
Yeah.
like membership.
So what's
So-
another?
See, I thought admirers, but something, not that word, but something,
Supporters.
It is.
The supporters of the Callahan House.
supporters,
Donors.
What would be a C
Supporters.
word we could use? Callahan.
Contributors.
Contributors. Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah, Callahan House contributors.
Sponsor, yeah.
we're gonna have to let that percolate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get,
Yeah.
everybody give that a little
Food
bit of
for
thought,
thought.
we will too,
Yeah.
and, let's look at this one again next month. And we'll think about, maybe, we'll try to include a little, for next month, maybe a little package of things that, as
Ideas.
a proposal of what that could look like,
Okay.
with some numbers.
I think discounts for using the house too, or for events, could be
Oh.
A
perhaps
motivational
built into
factor.
that too.
Yeah,
That's a good idea. Very good.
Yeah.
idea.
yeah.
And that might mean different
Yeah.
levels. Like if you are, if you are a donor and
Oh,
you
Right.
donated $1,000 or you donated $5,000, then maybe that has
Different
more
than
impact
$1 or
on the
$5.
rent. Or, somebody's
Yeah.
donating $5, it's wonderful, it's appreciated, but that doesn't give them
Yeah,
a discount.
10% discount or
Yeah,
whatever.
so that would have to be worked over a bit.
So Brittany, I'll ask you to come up with a little bit of a framework, and maybe you and Kristen and I can talk about it before the next meet, before we, get the next packet
Before I
out.
have a baby.
Yeah, before she.
Before she has a baby.
Or Brittany
That's the real
needs-
deadline.
needs
She
an
does
extra
have
time.
a state deadline.
She's got the
So
priority here.
She does.
You and I can talk about it. and
that is a
Kristen can-
deadline that we can't get around, so.
Kristen. Yeah, I love it.
Oh.
Bring it up before I leave.
Or bed.
I want to cross that off my list. I love it. Okay. All right.
So 2024 officer elections.
Yes, so we have to do elections, right, for, what do we got? We've got chair,
secretary and historian, right?
I would like to remove my name from,
I was at,
I'd like to remove my name from being secretary. If I'm gonna chair or co-chair the club affair, I just as soon focus on that. And right now I kind of struggle with some of this, writing and all this stuff, so, I don't wanna be secretary anymore.
Uh-huh,
So
me
I
either.
want a clarification. Am I co-chairing with you on this?
Did you volunteer?
I did.
Okay,
but
I
wasn't
didn't
sure.
recall that, so.
I didn't. I wanted to clarify, a clarification, because if that's the case, I don't want you to feel like this is all on you. And I don't wanna feel like it's all on me either, so
I
that'd
did
be
the
a
same thing,
Thank you.
I didn't know you volunteered, so I volunteered.
Okay, so whoever
So
wants
we
to
have
co-chair.
three of us.
We've got, yeah, that's fine,
That's
that's great.
3 chairs, that's
Yes, that
perfect.
works. We'll cover you.
So do we have any, and I haven't done this like this, and I missed Park and Rec Advisory Board Monday, so.
yeah, I have a suggestion for process. I went to the Historic Preservation Commission, their first meeting of the year, last week or whatever. And they basically, same as we do parliamentary procedure, is electing, you can make a move to nominate someone, and that could be seconded, and then we all in favor or not in favor is one option. Last year they did pieces of paper counted, but I would suggest the parliamentary procedure, and you can, like I said, make a motion to nominate someone for whichever.
Could it also be volunteer? Someone
Yeah.
volunteers to take
You
a
can nominate
position.
yourself. You can nominate yourself.
Is there somebody that particularly
Yeah,
wants to
nominate.
do a specific position? I think that's the.
Well, I would say let's start with chair. So
Yeah.
do we have any nominations, or I'll use the word volunteers, but nominate yourself for chair, because we do need a chair.
Well, I am pretty involved with things. I don't mind serving as chairperson. My other interest would be historian. So I'm kind of at a place where I'd leave that to you if you want me to serve in either capacity.
Well, I don't wanna do historian, and I'm not gonna be the
Secretary.
I will do the chair.
So
Nobody else wants it.
we have one nomination officially for chair. Karen, do you want to be involved in a vote for chair? I think is the question.
No, I actually think it would be wonderful if you would.
Okay. Do we have anybody else? And please don't, this is a small group. We're very
Yeah,
close.
Come on,
this is-
somebody
we're
else.
very-
Yeah.
we're very
Please,
casual.
Go for it.
Please step forward. So. Okay, if we have one nomination, I don't know that we need to do a written ballot. I think we could do this.
We could just do it this way, where I'll make a motion, I nominate Karen for chair, Karen Reed, for note-taking purposes. And,
Anyone second
I'll
that?
We have a
second that.
second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Yeah, we have a chair. I think that is perfectly acceptable under the
Yes.
circumstances. Congratulations,
Oh, yeah,
Karen.
thank you, yeah,
Welcome to the.
couldn't hide under the table on that one.
Okay, secretary is, Candy is no. It's a hard job. Do we have anybody else who would like to nominate or thinks that they would be able to help for secretary at this time?
I'm willing to do it.
Awesome.
I nominate Cindy for chair.
Okay, second that.
Secretary.
I
Okay,
nominate Cindy for
Yes.
secretary.
all righty.
Yes, I'll second
And do we
that.
have anybody else for second? We have a second. Do we have anybody else for secretary? I do not think so. I'm just saying.
Fight over it.
Yeah, like who else wants it?
Right,
It's tedious, but
I've
it's,
done it for a couple of
It's-
years.
Okay,
it's okay.
Yeah.
It is.
then,
Okay.
do we have a vote then for,
Yeah.
Yes,
All those in favor?
Yes.
this is now you.
yes.
Yes.
Say-
Yeah.
Yes,
All right,
Officially,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
So
noticed
you
that.
can
I
take
noticed
over
that jumped
for
over.
today.
Yeah, I noticed that,
Okay. All right,
Okay,
I hand it
and
over to you.
That,
We have
that's
Cindy as
Cindy
secretary.
And for historian.
And I nominate myself only because it is kind of a natural fit,
Yeah, it's,
continuing
Yeah.
the work.
that
Do
you,
we have a
I've
second?
been doing.
I'll say, I don't want to do it.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
All those in favor of Karen Cruz being our historian?
Aye.
Opposed? Karen Cruz is it remains our historian. Okay.
Congratulations to all of you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Are there items, next item is items from the staff.
And this is where.
Yes, I have,
Oh, may I pause for a moment?
yeah, where we can approve of that.
Hang on 1 second, Brett.
Hang on just a
I'm
sec.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's dawned on me, and I should have brought it up when we were looking over the agenda. There are a few other things that we do need to do, just standard procedure. You as chair, you need to kind of help direct us with, we have to agree or vote or determine our posting location for agendas and cancellations. It's typically been on the web and in 350 Kimbark. And if everyone is okay with that still being standard and that's the posting locations, then that's what needs to be determined during this meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, and I
So,
think
Madam
that's exactly
Chairperson.
what Brittany was.
yeah,
Oh, is that what she was?
Yeah.
that's where she was going.
Because I was gonna say that's.
Because you had a
Under
list.
business.
You had the
Well,
list
it should
from,
have been on, and I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
but what was the list
Yeah.
that you had written down officially? I don't say officially, but from that email?
Yep, it's the meeting date, the time, the meeting location, and the posting of the meeting notices. So that all needs to be approved.
So I think we've done the posting location for agendas and cancellations. That's the website and the 350 Kimbark.
Okay,
And then our meeting day and time.
and meeting day and time, how do you feel about continuing with the 9 o'clock?
I have to make a suggestion.
Yes,
I like meeting at this time. This works for me. But I also think that we need to get more people involved. And that means a younger generation. And I think we need to really seriously look at moving our time until later.
At what?
Getting more women or people involved on the board, and that means moving the time later for people that work. And I think that is something that I wanted to bring up for a time now, that there's people that won't even look at this board because the meetings are held during the day, and they can't. They
Yeah.
can't attend because of doing this. And if we're seriously about being more inclusive and having more people on the board, I think we have to look at bringing our time to a later time. I don't particularly prefer to meet at 5 o'clock. That's not,
Able to like,
Is on lunch hour?
we able to advertise
Sorry, Brittany,
Go ahead, Brittany.
here,
you're breaking up.
like that we,
Do you want to turn your camera off and just chat? You frozen.
guys for opening the board up again in the middle. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay. Is that any better?
Can you see us? You're frozen.
I have an idea. She can leave her, we can leave it like this, but is Brittany capable of calling your cell phone and you can put her on speaker?
Yeah.
And then
Brittany,
we
why
can-
don't you just turn off your
Turn
camera?
off your camera for starters. Can you,
Okay.
a lot of times that will help.
Cool, let's see if we can just chat like this.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it works.
Sometimes that works.
Okay, sorry about that. So I was just saying, I didn't know if we could maybe just advertise, like, when we open up the board position again in the mid-year, if we could say that, like, the meeting time is flexible based on new board members or something.
okay.
I like that too, because at this point, we don't have anyone requesting a different
I
time for
agree.
meeting. And 9 o'clock works for all of us, correct?
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead with the 9 o'clock on the second Wednesday for now, and do exactly as Brittany has suggested. Open it up and say, our meeting time is flexible. We are willing to,
I am concerned that we're
Adjust.
missing people applying for the board because they look at the time we meet and they said, I can't work that on my schedule. I work. I
Yeah.
can't do that. And that's a
So-
concern to me, that we're missing opportunities to have people on this board that would be a great asset simply because they work and they cannot get here at 9 o'clock. Because, I'm sorry, I'm working at that time. And I think we have to be flexible enough to recognize that maybe if we want to get more people involved, we might have to change our meeting time.
so we should do that. I'm hearing your suggestion is that we change that now so that it is more attractive.
Not necessarily.
Can we just change the language now
Mhm.
on the website, for example?
Exactly.
And for new applicants, definitely. And any time we're speaking about the vacancy on the board and the opportunity to apply, maybe we can start to say the meeting times are flexible based on the members of
On board member
the board.
schedules.
Yeah.
And,
I like that.
and yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's the better way
it's
to
a
go.
cohesive group and we
We can do
work
Is that
together.
okay? Can we do that?
Can we start
Yeah.
that? And that means
We can
changing
certainly change
something.
it later. We could,
Right.
yeah, and when we start to advertise, or that information goes out,
Mhm.
and like you guys start to advertise too, that we're emphasizing that we're open to adjustment to a later in the day. We don't need to decide today for sure, but I think my question to you guys is, do you wanna do, it's gonna come out of my mouth, after 5 o'clock meeting, which, that's on.
I don't want to.
That's fine.
I don't
But-
want
So
to.
that's why I was like, lunch hour,
Yeah.
people can do a lunch hour thing sometimes, once a month.
I
board
think the
meeting
bottom
or a
line-
lunch hour.
I'm concerned that people look at the boards, when they look at boards of what they're gonna look at, and they look at the times of when those board meetings are held. They look at ours automatically and they say,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
retired, I can't do that. And I wanna make sure that we're not missing opportunities simply because of our time schedule. So I'm completely open and flexible. Do I wanna change it to after 5? Not particularly. I like being able to come here at 9 o'clock and get it done. I'm good with that.
And we could look at something like a 4 o'clock, which a lot of people once a month, a lot of people get done working before that.
Right.
Heck, a lot of
Make it
people in my
flexible.
experience right now don't wanna work more than about 4 or 5 hours a day, so.
That's right. Well, they
So
work
they're
from
probably
home.
done by then.
Yeah.
So, we don't need to decide, but maybe as we post,
As we post,
Because it's out there right now, right? Like all of the city's boards
Yeah.
and commissions and their meeting times,
Are all
days, they're all
listed.
listed, they're all posted. Perhaps we can include
Yeah.
in ours that our meeting times are flexible and adjust based on the members of the boards. So,
Because we may end up with
Yeah.
people that would fit into this time schedule just perfectly
oh, yeah.
and would not wanna.
Right.
and
Right.
that's it, but I don't,
so.
I agree.
We'll look into.
It's just, I just
how
want
we-
it
how
to
we
be
Yeah, I
a
agree with
little
you
more
too.
squishy, simply because I don't wanna miss opportunities of somebody out there that,
But I'm thinking right now, that
Yeah.
is one thing we can
Yeah,
change because
let's-
it's already posted out there on the
Yep.
website anyway.
We'll do something.
Right.
We'll do something right away to.
Okay.
let's put it this way, I've
So-
asked people if they apply for this board and they look at the time and they say, I work.
Yeah.
I wanna apply.
So if they look at the time that is, like what we're talking about is going to show up now with the changed language, it should be a little more inviting, a little more open, right?
That's
Not
exactly,
automatic, no.
No.
Yeah,
that's
we'll-
exactly it.
And we'll
Thank you
figure out.
for the
we'll put a
consideration,
simple
that's all I'm
wording
gonna say.
to
Yeah.
apply that. And then obviously when we get to the posting time, we'll be really crystal clear about opportunity for this meeting to adjust to a different time based on.
Okay.
Thank you,
Great.
and
That's what-
I just wanted to address it, and again, I'm good with 9 o'clock on the second Wednesday of the month, that works for me perfectly, but again, I appreciate you
But
guys
for
being
posting purposes, something that indicates more
open to
flexibility.
listening to what other people say.
So for our meeting day and time, are we clear that we are
We're
the second
clear that we're-
Wednesday at 10 o'clock, or for 9 o'clock for right
9.
now? And then where it's gonna be pushed out online, they're gonna say it's gonna be flexible.
Beautiful, thank you. Do we need to make a motion on that time, on that?
That's a good question.
Well, just
Probably.
clarification. I move that currently we stick with the current time, with the ability to be flexible and listing it different as we've stated in the discussion.
Listing it differently on the website.
I'll say.
Also, she'll second. It's been moved and seconded that we adjust, that we say we're meeting at 9 o'clock on the second Wednesdays, but we are open to adjusting the meeting time according to membership. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Who seconded?
Karen did. Any other items from staff? Brittany?
Just the, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now that the oven is moved, yay. Idea moving forward with the Auto House is to get a period appropriate looking storage unit in the of the Auto House to facilitate us having tables and chairs available for large events. It is the idea moving forward, and maybe a little bit of a revamp of minor revamp of updating the space, a few little things. So that's kind of the idea, and that goes along with cleaning out and organizing the upstairs and the downstairs of the Auto House, and maybe utilizing the garden shed for some additional table storage, and some of that stuff can go below the Auto House. And just kind of reorganizing all of that and making it more efficient for storing that stuff for rentals.
Is there anything currently underneath the Auto House?
A lot of spiders.
Yes, spiders, dust.
As long as there's no
It's
bats.
pretty.
There's no bad.
Yeah, it's pretty rough down there, but we were thinking that some of the garden stuff could be stored down there, and we might be able to use a lot of venues just use a garden shed for their table storage and things like that. And I think I would like to have our own tables and chairs available for weddings and larger events eventually, but we need the storage for it. So I think kind of reorganizing the Auto House and the garden shed and building a storage unit in the interior of the Auto House in that open corner where the oven was, so that those aren't just sitting out when people want to rent that space, would be a good way to move forward.
I'm also aware that the floor in the Auto House has been damaged. Are we going to be looking at repairing that?
I think we probably would need to. So these are just ideas, at the moment, but I think that those would be beneficial ways to move forward and utilize all of those spaces better, and kind of up our rental offerings in terms of having tables and chairs, and in terms of the Auto House itself being a better space to rent.
Okay, Brittany, you are breaking up a little bit, just so you're aware. So if we ask you to repeat stuff, don't be offended.
That's okay, I'm moving closer.
Okay.
Moving.
So I have a question for you. When you're saying you want to get more tables and chairs, how many are we talking?
Well, our wedding cap is 100 people, so 100 chairs and 10 top tables
Okay.
would be ideal. And this is kind of a longer term goal, but most venues have tables and chairs included, and right now we have to rent them. So I think that would be, and we do, there's lots of space at Callahan House. It just needs to be organized in such a way that the space is being utilized the best that it can be. So I think having those items would put us a step up, or at least in line with other venues. And again, just having, even right now, there are tables and chairs just in that corner of the Auto House. So if you rent that space, or if a group's party is using it, there's tables and chairs just sitting there, but they make really nice, wooden storage units that make that stuff easy to get to, but then it's tucked away and you're not just seeing it all the time. So I think that would be a good route to go for that space.
Wow, I'm impressed. That would be great, and I agree about the tables and chairs.
Is that an item then, Brittany, that you want to put on for new business?
Well,
To at least
yeah,
discuss it?
I can provide you kind of updates as we ideate about it, I guess, yeah. Is
Okay.
that, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all for me.
All right, thank you. Items from the board. Anybody, anything?
I think a couple of things that if we can include these on next month's agenda, we probably ought to talk about them. And one is the 2024 open house events. And the second is the club selection criteria, which is separate from club affair. But it would provide us our guidelines within which, when we are going to have a flood of club
Right.
interested in meeting here, how do we select which clubs are going to be able to meet here? So I think those two items, if we can include them on next month's agenda, that would be great.
I would suggest that the club selection criteria be decided before we plan a club affair.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
which is
sure.
why, so
Right.
next
The sooner we
meeting,
do that.
next agenda, next month's agenda, this is when we need to
Clarify that.
begin discussing this
And
criteria.
do we have any criteria right now that's in place or that we've discussed in the past?
Really, so that's.
We've tried to get it open for discussion, but it was bits and pieces been thrown out, but nothing clarified.
Yeah, it's kind of been bandied around, but
Yeah.
never put in
Nothing,
concrete.
nothing formal this time, so, but it's
Alright.
time that we do.
Put that on the agenda and talk about it.
Well, now that we've
Got
got
my
the
thoughts
donation,
about
Yes, everyone kind of come with.
now that we've got
thoughts
the
and guidelines.
donation policy in place, I think this is the next.
She disappeared.
Guidelines.
Nope, I'm just getting all
Okay.
sorts of notifications.
Oh, okay. The next item is future agenda items, Callahan House e-blast content.
That is just the continuing reminder.
Continuing talk.
It just is to remind us to be looking ahead at what's coming up, that we need to probably put together some language so that Brittany can get an e-blast out either through the email group and or through recreation. So.
Question, do we
Here, upcoming events
Yeah.
and whatnot, so I've got a handle on that, but if anybody wants to put together like tidbits, you know, historic things for information.
historically, do we have anything that would be of events that have taken place in February for the Callahan House? Any past events that have taken place in February?
I don't know about past events, but we have advertised for the upcoming tea.
Right.
I realize that, but I was hoping that we could have a historic something tidbit of ladies groups that did Valentine's parties here, that did anything like that.
I don't remember
Anything?
coming across anything that
Anything in
was
the
in February that was notable.
Which, by the way, the tea is full or virtually full, Brittany?
Almost.
Yeah, just about,
Wow, great.
yeah, just about full. I think there might be, I gotta look at the numbers again, but I think last I saw there were maybe a couple of half tables open, so basically a table. So that's exciting.
Is that
Yes,
the
it
one
is.
for the, and also making the Valentine's? Okay,
Right,
nice.
Nice. Good job, Britt. Nicely.
cool, thanks.
Yeah.
I just have one quick question about that event. There's not gonna be use of glitter, is there?
There is bands at Callahan House.
Good.
Glitter
I
band.
just want to make sure we are not opening up a massive mess of sparkle.
No, it's
That
gonna
last
be
forever.
like collage Valentine, like ephemera and doilies and things like that. So nothing super crazy.
More old fashioned.
Exactly.
That is
Before glitter.
good.
Right,
Like,
before glitter, yeah.
No glitter bombs?
just had
No
to
glitter.
ask to make sure.
Okay,
Glitter is
that's clear. Okay, is there anything else that we need to come before the board? We'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
It is 10:35, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
That's okay.
All those
We're all